Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's postseason. The players, they're leading this mindset, which is what you want. Their group chat for me and them is confetti chasing. And that's what we're wanting to do every single day. Obviously, confetti means what? A championship. And that's the only way you get it is if you win a championship. So I think their mindset is where it needs to be. And if that's their goal, then me and my staff are going to push for it just as hard as they are.
All right. So Alex Simmons said the Tigers have confetti chasing in mind for 2025 and 2026. Why not? It's June. Everybody has a great outlook on the coming season. And does anybody have a roster that's as new as Memphis? Maybe not. But you could also argue that Memphis's roster is, equally new with everybody else's, given that nobody's played a single game. But let's go through it and give a little background, a little perspective maybe on what it looks like, what it may look like, who the model is for the Tigers to win an American Athletic Conference tournament championship. Now, Simmons did say postseason was generally the goal, but she talked about her team wanting to do that confetti chasing. So that is, I would say, I mean, you can certainly do it at the regular season's end, but I think looking at the American Athletic Conference Tournament Championship, obviously all the hoopla that comes with that, the NCAA tournament berth, that's it. That's the pinnacle, right, of the things that you want. Roster wise, there are a couple of teams maybe that are in the category of Memphis in terms of newness. Okay, there are some key separators I think that we'll go through. You look at the Tigers. They don't have anybody on their roster who scored 10 points per game against college competition last year, although a couple came close. Other rosters that include that level of kind of newness in terms of all of the transfers they're bringing in, all the additions they're adding, but also the lack of experience in general from an overall roster standpoint, not necessarily from a top of the roster standpoint. You look at Florida Atlantic, right? Obviously, they have a new staff coming in this year. They do bring back Aaron Rodgers, who had her freshman season cut short last year when she was probably the leading candidate, or at least neck and neck with Kendall Sneed for Tulane to be the freshman of the year. She was averaging 12 points per game when she went down. She's back. Okay. Charlotte, who did not have a great year under Tamika Reed, first year head coach. They do have a lot of roster spots seemingly left to fill after she pulled in a lot of transfers last year. They've had a lot of turnover. They do have two double figure scorers right now added from the portal in Zoe Best and Asian A. Nicholson. So that is to their benefit. Wichita State went out and added a lot of additions. One of whom I think it was Diamond Richardson scored 12 points per game in the NAIA ranks for Langston. She's played at the Division One level before and has not come near that level of production. So take that with a grain of salt. And then Wichita State, or rather, I should say, North Texas, who again in both of the first 2 years in the American Athletic Conference has been incredibly competitive under Jason Burton. They went out and added a couple of recognizable names from around the conference, including Jazzy Owens Barnett, Asia Proctor, I think, among them, but also bringing in a couple of newer players from the junior college level and from NAI. I think Megan Nestor scored 20 points per game at the NAI level, but again, take that with a grain of salt because it's hard to compare that to Division One. So she may do well, she may not. So all of those teams at least had somebody who scored double figures against college level competition, be it JUCO level, be it NAIA level, maybe even Division One level. But the Tigers don't. So Memphis is though adding four transfers who scored between 7 and 9 points per game last season. Okay, let's tick those off. That is Amari Williams, that is Paris Gaines, that is Deja Richmond, and that is Shea Harris. So that's two front court players and two backcourt players. And I think at least three of those four, considering that they had that level of scoring and they have strong experience. Those are all juniors or seniors. I would say at least three of those four, if not all four of those four, make the rotation for the Memphis Tigers this season. Now, that's important because each of the last three American Athletic Conference champions had multiple transfers playing at least 16 minutes per game, right? When you look back at whether it's South Florida this year or Rice 2 years ago or 3 years ago, East Carolina. Now, that East Carolina team that went to the NCAA tournament in 2023, they only had one player scoring in double figures. That was senior guard Danae McNeil. She was a Clemson transfer, but she had been on the roster for East Carolina the year before and played a partial season due to injury. And then she came out gunning 17 points per game, I think she had a couple of 30-point games. She was the defensive player of the year, the most improved player of the year, almost 100 steals that season. So she did an incredible amount in the year that they won the American Athletic Conference tournament title. Who else did they have on that team? If you don't remember, we forgive you. Nobody else on that team scored in double figures. She was the engine offensively. They did have a transfer point guard in Micah Dennis, who came over from Oklahoma State. She put up, I think, 6 points and 5 assists per game. So she distributed extremely well. They also had two key cogs who were freshmen, and their names that you should know now if you're an American Athletic Conference tournament fan or an American Athletic Conference fan overall. One of them, Jayla Earp, who started all but one game last year for East Carolina and figures to do so again this season. And then, secondly, Amaya Joyner, who's become one of the best forwards in the conference over the last 2 seasons, and she just transferred to LSU. So that tells you what people think of her. So that's three players who are brand new to the rotation for East Carolina in the campaign that ended in 2023, and one in McNeil, who made a massive leap from the year before. And notably, this was a team that was coming off of a wretched season. Okay, 11 wins overall, 4 wins in conference play the year before, where they finished, I think, 4-11 in 2021, 2022. And I believe they were picked last in the American Athletic Conference poll going into that 2022-2023 season. East Carolina was. And then Kim McNeil's squad goes on a late season run. I think they won maybe 9 of their last 11 games, and they go on to take the conference tournament title, and they go to the NCAA tournament. So that is huge for a Memphis team that's coming off a really, really rough season last year to go back and look at the example set by that 2023 East Carolina team and say, hey, we can do this. We have seen in this conference, under coaching staffs that still exist, teams composed similarly to ours go and have huge success in this league. So it's absolutely on the table for Alex Simmons and company. Yeah, they're going to need probably a step up from Bailey Gilmore and or Tamaya Smith, and they're going to need big contributions from some of those rotation players that we mentioned, some of those newcomers, the likely newcomers, with the experience, and even some of those who have not scored as well or played as much, in a Corey Allen or a Jordan Hunter. We'll see what else the Tigers can do this season, but there is certainly a model out there for them to go and chase confetti, as Alex Simmons and her club would say. Like and subscribe for more content here on Typhoon Streams. You're listening and watching Many Ways to Win, and we'll cover more women's basketball content going forward throughout the summer, in addition to more Memphis sports content at large.